The sun rises over the Nile. It paints the eastern sky in bands of orange and rose. The river becomes a mirror, calm and luminous. Tall papyrus reeds sway along the banks. A papyrus skiff glides silently. Two men aboard, scanning water and sky. They cast for fish and watch the reed beds for fowl. Such scenes fill Egyptian art, daily life woven with the river. The Nile was the heart of their world, water, transport and wild bounty. Today we explore that world, its creatures, its hunts, its faith. Animals meant food and materials, yet also power, art and the sacred. Mist lifts, fishermen pole between papyrus shadows. Egrets rise in white flurries over the shallows. Date palms catch first light. Villages stir awake. Water jars clink. A felucca unfurls to the breeze. Crocodile trails ripples. Ibises hunt along the mudflats. This river, breath by breath, awakens Egypt's day. The Egypt we know today is drier and barer than that of the pharaohs. Over millennia, climate shifts turned grassland to desert. Once the Nile formed a green corridor. Beyond it, open savannas spread. Elephants, rhinoceroses and hippos lived in and around Egypt. As rains waned and wetlands shrank, habitats vanished and herds retreated south. Farming, settlement and marsh draining compounded the loss. Elite hunts, status, sport and ivory pressed dwindling populations. What remains are images in paint and carved relief, witnesses to a wilder Egypt. Sources, inscriptions, tomb scenes and environmental studies trace this long decline. Gazelles, antelope and ostriches once roamed Egypt's fringes, creatures of open savanna. Pollen cores and dune records trace a stepwise drying, the green belt narrowing year by year. Rock art and Old Kingdom reliefs show hunts long vanished from the delta's edge. Hippos lingered longest in backwaters, marshes shrank with canals, dams and fields. As herds retreated south toward Nubia, Egypt turned to trade for ivory and exotic skins. Memory survived in names, myths and motifs, echoes of a wilder, wetter land. Animals stood at the very centre of Egyptian religion. In carvings and temple light, the natural world mirrored the divine, signs of power, protection and renewal. Horus, lord of sky and kingship, bore the falcon's keen gaze of sun and moon. Anubis, jackal-headed guardian, guided souls at the necropolis, ever watchful. Sobek embodied the river's strength and peril, honoured to avert harm. Bastet's cats guarded grain and hearth. Chosen beasts like the ibis bull were revered as living gods. Workshops and shrines mummified cats, ibises, falcons, even crocodiles. Offerings made animals messengers, intercessors between people and gods. Thoth, ibis-headed scribe, kept wisdom, writing and measure. Wadjet's cobra, the uraeus, flared on crowns to ward chaos. Sacred lakes sheltered temple animals. Ritual processions carried their emblems through the streets. And always the river shimmered beneath it all. The Nile marsh, noisy, abundant, was a hunter's paradise. For nobles and kings, marsh hunts were sport and display. Papyrus boats slipped quietly through shallow reed beds. The throwing stick, simple, boomerang-like, could fell several birds aloft. Barbed harpoons, tethered by cord, anchored powerful fish, and at times small hippos. Scenes show families aboard, even a cat flushing birds from reeds. Yet the marsh held danger. Crocodiles and hippos could overturn a boat. Mastery here meant vigilance, precision, and respect for the wild. For elites, the hunt dramatized order, triumphing over marshland chaos. Trained hunting dogs aided parties, retrieving birds and guarding boats. Hunters hid in papyrus blinds, woven mats and green paint-masked movement. Seasons ruled the marsh. Northbound migrations packed skies at the inundation's end. After the catch, plucking, salting and deliveries, households and temples took their share. Temple quotas and taxes regulated the harvest each season. Scenes proclaimed status. Skill in the reeds echoed later in feast and song. Migratory ducks and geese filled the Nile marshes with meat and eggs. Skilled throwers struck birds mid-flight from a boat. A large split net, hidden with reeds, snapped shut when ropes were pulled. Decoys, living or carved, drew wild birds into the trap zone. A hidden watcher signalled at the perfect moment. With one pull, dozens, sometimes hundreds, were taken at once. The yield fed households and supplied temples with votive birds. Fowling blended craft, teamwork, and intimate knowledge of behaviour. Reliefs and texts preserved techniques with surprising technical clarity. Whistlers mimicked calls, ducks circled toward concealed nets. Boys splashed to flush birds, painted clappers and tossing sticks startled dense flocks. Handlers kept decoy geese tethered, wings clipped for safety. Captured birds were twisted, bled, plucked and salted on board. Temple quotas and taxes regulated marsh harvests each season. The Nile teemed with tilapia, catfish, mullet and mighty Nile perch. After the flood, stranded pools gave abundant easy catches. Here begins the fisher's craft, quiet methods shaped by water and season. From a papyrus boat, a patient fisher thrust a barbed bident into a single large fish. Spearheads advanced from bone and flint to bronze. Extra prongs raised the odds. Steady hands and timing did the rest. Angling used fibre or hairlines and unbarbed hooks of bone, shell, wood, later copper and bronze. Without barbs, one kept the line tight. Patience rewarded the dinner pot. From solitary skill, we turned to communal methods. Seine nets spanned side channels. Crews hauled shimmering catches together. Basket traps and wicker weirs guided fish into tightening throats. Lines of reed floats marked nets. Boys splashed to drive schools. Herb baits scented baskets. Patient anglers waited in papyrus shade. Some fished for leisure, an ancient calm we still recognise. Afterward, gutting, drying on racks, and smoking fish for transport. Some species were revered or taboo. Offerings returned to the sacred water. The river's economy moved by hands and habit, even as memory honoured the sacred. Then the current carried life onward. Big game hunting, lions, wild bulls, even elephants, was royal theatre of power. To master fierce creatures was to uphold Ma'at, order against chaos, before the watching court and land. Processions, banners and desert horizons framed the rite. Hippos shattered boats and trampled fields near the river's edge. Crews answered with heavy harpoons and stout ropes from papyrus skiffs. A struck hippo dove and fought an exhausting coordinated struggle amid the reeds. Lions were pursued in staged enclosures and open scrub. Royal beaters drove game toward archers behind shields. Composite bows and barbed arrows struck at range. Chariot teams wheeled through dust. Handlers loosed hounds, and finishing nets subdued the wounded. The bull signified strength and fertility. To bring one down affirmed masculine power. Offerings of captured bull heads marked victory and restored order. Triumphal stelae named hunters, tallying deeds before the gods. Text and image cemented sovereignty in the public imagination. These were not mere hunts, but open-air liturgies, performances of kingship where order overcame the wild. Thus power was proclaimed, remembered, and renewed. Egyptians used every part: meat, skin, bone, fat, horn, sinew. Resourcefulness met artistry. Materials marked rank and craft. An economy of ingenuity. Little, if anything, went to waste. Tanned hides became sandals, shields, armor, bags, belts, and bindings. Leather covered furniture and served as writing surfaces. Bone and ivories, elephant and hippo, became tools, amulets, and luxury fittings. Horns made vessels and instruments, sinews bound and stitched a strong cord. Sinew and gut served as bowstrings, net cords, and surgical sutures. Feathers, ostrich plumes, adorned fans, headdresses, and royal regalia. Horn and shell became combs, needles, gaming pieces, and inlay. Spotted felid skins, worn by Sem priests, signalled authority and divine connection. Rendered fat-fed fires, lit lamps, and formed bases for ointments and perfumes. Catfish skins made glue, fish oil sealed boats. Workshops along quays traded by weight, craft met commerce daily. Tomb walls read like chronicles. Fish, birds, crocodiles, hippos abound. In paint and carved relief, scenes of catching, herding, and offering turned daily life into scripture. Such images were made efficacious, provisions and pleasures for eternity, fixed in temple light. Detail is so precise that biologists can name species from paint and plaster. Art captures animals no longer in Egypt, ostrich, certain antelope, evidence of a different landscape now lost. Precision served devotion and record alike. Zoo archaeology reveals diets, domestication, and hunting practices. From workers' villages, heaps of fish bones speak of staple fare and seasonal labour. Inscriptions and ledgers meet trays and microscopes. Evidence counted, compared, and dated. CT scans unveil age, health, and ritual killing. No unwrapping required. Mummified cats, ibises, and crocodiles rest in rows. Labels and coffins name donors and prayerful intent. The sacred body becomes a readable archive. Text, image, and remains converge, firm ground for historical insight. Pigments, malachite and ochre, keep colours vivid. Workshop grids fix proportions so species stay recognizable. Artists captured behavior itself. A preening ibis, a basking crocodile, life held still for memory. From tiny fish to desert lions, animals were woven into daily existence. Survival meant reading seasons and learning creaturely habits. Along the reeds and open water, life moved with the river's breath, yet the bond transcended need. Nature stood as a mirror of the divine. They hunted for survival and sport, and revered animals as sacred beings. Rituals multiplied. Animal necropolies spread across sacred landscapes. The elephant and hippo are gone from Egypt, but their memory endures. Art, writing, and archaeology let us glimpse that lost world. In paint, bone, and papyrus, the past speaks softly back. Egypt's identity was forged by river, floodplain, and the creatures within. The Nile's cycles guide festivals, fishing, planting, and prayer. Today, river life still echoes ancient lessons of balance. Museums and excavations keep their stories vivid for us. Respect for living waters remains Egypt's oldest wisdom. Guard the wild banks and creatures placed in our care. The river flows on, Egypt's wild heart endures. Welcome to ancient Egypt, a land of breathtaking pyramids, mystical deities, and unparalleled innovation. But beyond the monuments and mythology lies a fascinating story of how the ancient Egyptians maintained their health and nourished their bodies. Wellness was not just a personal endeavor, but a cultural cornerstone, deeply intertwined with their spiritual beliefs and daily practices. Join us as we explore the remarkable world of Egyptian medicine and diets, uncovering the secrets of their holistic approach to well-being. The ancient Egyptians were pioneers of medicine, combining natural remedies with spiritual practices. Their medical knowledge evolved over millennia, influenced by their observations of nature and the human body. They documented their knowledge in papyri, such as the ibis papyrus, which contains over 700 remedies and treatments, showcasing their extensive understanding of medicinal plants and their applications. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, one of the earliest known surgical manuals, highlights their advanced surgical techniques and anatomical knowledge. These texts reveal an intricate understanding of the human body and diseases developed through centuries of practice and study. Temples dedicated to Imhotep were not only places of worship, but also centers for healing, reflecting the integration of medicine and religion in their culture. These sanctuaries offered treatments that combined prayers, rituals, and practical remedies, evolving into sophisticated centers of medical practice. This holistic approach to health, balancing the physical and spiritual realms, was a cornerstone of ancient Egyptian medicine, influencing practices for generations. The ancient Egyptians relied on the natural world for healing. Honey was prized for its antiseptic properties and used to treat wounds, while garlic was a common remedy for heart health and stamina. Willow bark, a natural source of salicylic acid, was used to alleviate pain, foreshadowing the development of aspirin thousands of years later. They also excelled in treating physical injuries. Splints made from reeds and bandages soaked in medicinal oils were used to set fractures. For infections, they employed antiseptic poultices made of resin, honey, and even copper salts, which have antibacterial properties. Dental health was a significant concern. The Egyptians used tooth powders made from crushed eggshells and ash to clean their teeth, though they faced challenges due to the abrasive nature of their bread, which wore down enamel over time. Aloe vera was another versatile remedy, used to soothe skin irritations and burns. Poppy seeds were utilized for their sedative properties, helping to relieve pain and induce sleep. Juniper berries and their oil were used to treat digestive issues and as a diuretic. Castor oil was a common laxative, aiding in digestive health and relieving constipation. A balanced diet was central to Egyptian life. Bread and beer were staples, providing carbohydrates and essential nutrients. Bread was made from emmer wheat or barley, and beer was brewed from the same grains, sometimes flavored with dates or herbs for added nutrition. Their meals included vegetables such as onions, leeks, and garlic, which were rich in vitamins and believed to have medicinal benefits. Fruits like figs, dates, and melons were common, adding natural sweetness and essential hydration to their diet. Fish from the Nile was an important protein source, supplemented by poultry and eggs. While red meat was reserved for the wealthy or special occasions, ordinary Egyptians had access to lentils, chickpeas, and other legumes for protein. Their reliance on whole grains made their diet high in fiber, which supported digestive health. However, the sand and grit from grinding flour often led to severe dental wear, causing pain and infections. Nuts and seeds such as almonds, sesame seeds and flax seeds were also part of their diet, providing healthy fats and additional protein. Dairy products like cheese and milk were consumed, offering calcium and other essential nutrients for bone health. Herbs and spices, including coriander, cumin and fenugreek, were used to flavor their food, and were believed to have health benefits. Honey was a natural sweetener and was also used for its medicinal properties, adding both flavor and health benefits to their diet. The Nile River was the heart of Egyptian life. Its annual floods brought fertile silt, making agriculture possible. Crops like wheat, barley, flax and vegetables thrived along its banks, ensuring a steady food supply. The river also provided medicinal resources. Papyrus was not only used for writing, but also as material for wound dressings. Plants like lotus flowers and water reeds were incorporated into remedies for ailments ranging from skin conditions to digestive disorders. The cycle of planting and harvesting was closely tied to the Nile's rhythm. This abundance allowed the Egyptians to experiment with a wide range of ingredients for both sustenance and healing. The Nile was also a vital source of fish, which was a key protein in the Egyptian diet. Advanced irrigation techniques allowed Egyptians to maximize their agricultural output. Medical knowledge was often recorded on papyrus, ensuring the transmission of healing practices across generations. The legacy of ancient Egyptian wellness lives on. Many of their remedies, like honey for wounds and herbal teas for digestion, are still valued today. Modern herbal medicine and essential oils also draw from ancient practices. Their understanding of nutrition and the connection between diet and health was far ahead of its time. Today's Mediterranean diet and healthy eating trends echo their principles. Their approach to wellness reflected their reverence for balance, or ma'at, the harmony that governed all aspects of life. This balance is mirrored in modern wellness practices like yoga and meditation. From the food they ate to the medicines they crafted, the ancient Egyptians demonstrated a profound connection to the world around them. This connection continues in today's natural remedies and farm-to-table movements. Beyond their renowned remedies and diet, the ancient Egyptians also practiced surgery with remarkable skill. They employed a variety of tools such as scalpels, forceps and probes, many of which have been discovered in tombs, showcasing their advanced understanding of medical procedures. Surgical techniques included trepanation, where holes were drilled into the skull to treat head injuries or illnesses, and the use of sutures made from plant fibers or animal sinews to close wounds. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, a medical text dating back to around 1600 BCE, provides detailed descriptions of these procedures, highlighting the Egyptians' systematic approach to surgery. They also practiced dentistry, extracting teeth and treating dental abscesses with precision. The combination of surgical skill and their vast knowledge of medicinal plants allowed them to perform complex procedures while minimizing pain and infection risks. The ancient Egyptians' contributions to surgery laid the groundwork for future medical advancements, demonstrating their ingenuity and dedication to the well-being of their people. In summary, the ancient Egyptians excelled in various aspects of wellness, from their innovative surgical practices and advanced medical tools to their comprehensive understanding of medicinal plants and balanced diets. Their holistic approach to health and medicine not only ensured the well-being of their people, but also laid a strong foundation for future generations to build upon. In ancient Egypt, medicine was deeply intertwined with magic and religion. Illnesses were believed to be caused by supernatural forces, requiring both medical knowledge and spiritual intervention. Priests, skilled healers, performed rituals to appease gods and expel spirits. Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess, was revered in medicine. Her priests channeled her power through elaborate ceremonies. Thoth, god of wisdom, bestowed medical knowledge. Amulets and charms protected and aided recovery. Inscribed with sacred texts, they invoked divine protection. The ibis papyrus blends spells and medical treatments. The heart was seen as the center of thought and health. During mummification, the heart was carefully preserved. Magic and religion ensured holistic well-being. This integration highlights the complexity of ancient Egyptian society and their understanding of the human condition. The diet in ancient Egypt varied significantly between social classes, reflecting wealth and status. The wealthy enjoyed diverse meals with meats, fish, fruits and vegetables. Bread and beer were staples, but quality varied by class. Commoners had simpler diets, mainly bread, beer and vegetables. Meat was a rare luxury for the working class. The Nile's bounty ensured basic foodstuffs for all. Feasts showcased wealth and reinforced social bonds. Food was a marker of status and cultural expression. Ancient Egyptian medicine was advanced and profoundly influential on later civilizations. Their knowledge of herbal remedies, surgical techniques and holistic health laid the groundwork for future practices. The Greeks adopted many Egyptian practices, integrating them into their own medical theories. Hippocrates drew inspiration from Egyptian medical texts. The Romans expanded upon Egyptian medical knowledge. Galen referenced Egyptian practices in his works. Egyptian medical papyri influenced both the ancient world and Renaissance scholars. Their emphasis on mind, body and spirit echoes in modern holistic medicine. The legacy of ancient Egyptian medicine continues to inspire contemporary practices. Understanding their influence provides a broader perspective on medical evolution. It highlights the importance of preserving and learning from ancient wisdom. Thank you for joining us on this journey into their remarkable world. Stay tuned for more explorations of the past. Explore more about ancient Egypt in our next episode. Like, share and subscribe to delve deeper into the mysteries of history. The ancient Egyptians created a civilization that thrived for millennia. This civilization was built on the fertile banks of the Nile River. The Nile's annual floods brought life-giving silt to the land. This allowed the Egyptians to cultivate crops and produce surplus agricultural goods. From the bustling marketplaces of their cities to the far reaches of the known world, the Egyptians were active traders. They exchanged goods, ideas and culture with their neighbors. Their pharaohs, considered divine rulers, invested in expeditions to distant lands. These expeditions sought valuable resources like gold, timber, and exotic animals. Join us as we delve into the world of ancient Egyptian trade. It takes us from the sun-drenched banks of the Nile to the distant shores of Africa and the Near East. In the heart of every ancient Egyptian city lay the marketplace, a vibrant hub of activity from dawn till dusk. Here, locals and foreigners alike converged to barter for their daily needs and exotic luxuries. The air was filled with the aroma of spices, the sound of haggling and the sight of colourful textiles. Farmers brought their bountiful harvests of grain, fruits and vegetables. Fishermen displayed their catches of the day from the Nile. Artisans proudly presented their crafts, pottery, jewellery and furniture. The Egyptians developed a system to standardize trade. There was a unit of value based on the weight of copper. It served as a common denominator for comparing the value of different goods and services. The marketplace was not just an economic centre but also a social hub. Festivals and religious celebrations often took place in the marketplace, adding to the lively atmosphere. The Nile River, the lifeblood of Egypt, was also its main artery of trade. Boats laden with goods sailed up and down its length. They connected the northern delta region to the southern reaches of the kingdom. But the Egyptians were not content to limit themselves to the Nile Valley. They ventured beyond their borders, establishing trade routes across land and sea that stretched as far as the Arabian Peninsula, the Levant and even Mesopotamia. Overland trade routes, often arduous journeys by donkey caravan, crossed the eastern desert to reach the Red Sea. Here Egyptian ships embarked on voyages to the land of Punt. Punt, believed to be located in present-day Somalia, was a source of exotic goods highly prized by the Egyptians: incense, ebony, ivory, gold and even live baboons. These international trade routes were not without their dangers, yet the lure of profit and the desire for exotic goods fueled the Egyptians' adventurous spirit, making them adept sailors and shrewd traders. The Old Kingdom period, around 2686 to 2181 BCE, marked the emergence of a powerful centralized state in Egypt. During this era, the pharaohs consolidated their power and embarked on ambitious building projects, most notably the pyramids of Giza. These monumental structures stand as a testament to the pharaoh's authority and the economic prosperity of the Old Kingdom. Trade played a crucial role in fueling this economic growth. The pharaohs controlled all aspects of trade. They sent expeditions to distant lands in search of valuable resources. Timber from the cedar forests of Lebanon was essential for constructing ships, temples, and tombs. Gold, mined in the Nubian desert to the south, became synonymous with the pharaoh's power and divinity. The Old Kingdom laid the foundation for Egypt's future economic dominance. It established the systems and networks that would allow subsequent dynasties to further expand trade and secure Egypt's place as a major power in the ancient world. The Middle Kingdom, around 2055 to 1650 BCE, witnessed a resurgence of Egyptian power after a period of political instability. The pharaohs of this era focused on expanding their influence southwards into Nubia. Nubia, a region rich in gold, became a primary target for Egyptian expeditions. Gold played a central role in the Egyptian economy and belief system. It was considered the flesh of the gods, and possessing it was a sign of divine favor. The Egyptians established trading posts and fortresses along the Nile to secure their access to Nubian gold mines. They also developed sophisticated mining techniques to extract the precious metal from the earth. Nubian gold fueled the Middle Kingdom's prosperity. However, the Egyptians' desire for Nubian gold also led to conflict. These campaigns were costly and bloody, but they ultimately secured Egypt's dominance over Nubia and its valuable resources. The New Kingdom, around 1550 to 1069 BCE, marked the zenith of Egyptian power and prosperity. During this era, the Egyptian Empire reached its greatest territorial extent, stretching from Nubia in the south to Syria in the north. This expansion brought immense wealth and luxury goods into Egypt, transforming its culture and economy. The pharaohs of the New Kingdom launched ambitious military campaigns. These campaigns brought vast territories under Egyptian control and opened up new trade routes. Egyptian armies returned from their conquests laden with booty, gold, silver, precious stones, exotic animals, and even slaves. Trade with distant lands flourished during the New Kingdom. Egyptian ships sailed the Mediterranean, reaching the shores of Greece, Anatolia, and the Levant. These exotic goods became status symbols among the Egyptian elite, further stimulating trade and cultural exchange. The New Kingdom was an era of unprecedented wealth and luxury in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians were renowned for their ambitious engineering projects, and the Canal of the Pharaohs stands as a testament to their ingenuity and determination. This ambitious waterway, also known as the Canal of the Seas, was an attempt to connect the Nile River to the Red Sea, creating a direct trade route between Egypt and the East. The first attempt to construct the canal is credited to Pharaoh Senusret, the third of the 12th dynasty, around 1878 to 1839 BCE. However, it was Pharaoh Necho II of the 26th dynasty, around 610 to 595 BCE, who is often associated with the canal's completion. The canal was a remarkable feat of engineering for its time. It stretched for over 100 miles, linking the Nile River to the Bitter Lakes, which were then connected to the Red Sea. The canal facilitated trade and transportation between Egypt and the East. It allowed Egyptian ships to bypass the treacherous journey around the Sinai Peninsula, reducing travel time and risks. However, the canal was not without its challenges. Despite its intermittent use, the Canal of the Pharaohs stands as a testament to the ancient Egyptians' vision and engineering prowess. The once mighty Egyptian empire did not last forever. Political instability, internal strife and the rise of new powers in the region gradually eroded Egyptian dominance. By the late period, around 747 to 332 BCE, Egypt was a shadow of its former self, its economy weakened and its trade networks disrupted. The decline of Egyptian trade was due to a combination of factors. Internally, political instability and internal conflicts weakened the central government's control over trade routes and resources. The rise of independent kingdoms in Nubia further disrupted trade to the south. External pressures also played a role. The emergence of new powers, such as the Assyrians, Babylonians and Persians, challenged Egyptian hegemony in the Near East. The decline of Egyptian trade had a profound impact on the empire's economy and society. The decline of Egyptian trade marked the end of an era. The story of ancient Egyptian trade is a testament to the ingenuity, resourcefulness and ambition of this remarkable civilization. From the bustling marketplaces of their cities to the far reaches of the known world, the Egyptians were active traders. They exchanged goods, ideas and culture with their neighbors. The legacy of ancient Egyptian trade is still felt today. The Egyptians developed complex systems of trade and diplomacy. They created innovative technologies for transportation and navigation. They established trade routes that connected distant lands and cultures. These innovations laid the groundwork for the development of international trade in the centuries that followed. Though the pharaohs and pyramids may be long gone, the spirit of trade that animated ancient Egypt continues to inspire us today. As we navigate the complexities of global trade in the 21st century, we can learn valuable lessons from the ancient Egyptians who mastered the art of trade and left an indelible mark on the world. The sands of Egypt hold more than just ancient ruins and buried treasure. They whisper stories of a civilization that thrived for millennia. Journey with us now as we peel back the layers of time and uncover the culinary world of the ancient Egyptians. Imagine the Nile River, a glistening ribbon of life meandering through the desert. Its fertile banks gave birth to a civilization that would become a beacon of art, architecture and culture. The food of ancient Egypt wasn't merely sustenance. It was a reflection of their beliefs, their social structure and their deep connection to the land. Through their cuisine, we can catch a glimpse of their world. Their culinary legacy, much like their towering pyramids, stands as a testament to their ingenuity and sophistication. They transformed simple ingredients, gifted to them by the Nile, into dishes both practical and indulgent. They understood the art of flavor, the delicate dance of herbs and spices, and the importance of preserving food in a land where the sun blazed relentlessly. It's time to uncover the secrets of their kitchens, explore the ingredients that graced their tables, and discover the flavors that tantalized their palates. Join us as we embark on a culinary adventure through time. Prepare to be transported back in time to a world where food was more than just sustenance. It was a celebration of life itself. The Nile River, often referred to as the father of life by the ancient Egyptians, was much more than a waterway. It was the lifeblood of the civilization, its ebb and flow dictating the rhythm of their lives. Wheat, barley and emmer, these grains, nurtured by the Nile's annual floods, were the staples of their daily bread. Bread, in its various forms, was the cornerstone of their meals, a testament to the land's generosity. Lentils, chickpeas and fava beans, these protein-rich legumes, added variety and sustenance to their diet. The ancient Egyptians were masters of cultivating the land, coaxing life from the desert with their intricate irrigation systems. Their agricultural prowess ensured a steady supply of these essential crops, forming the foundation of a cuisine that was as diverse as it was nourishing. Onions, garlic and leeks, these pungent bulbs, added depth and complexity to their dishes. Lettuce, cucumbers and radishes, these refreshing vegetables, provided a welcome respite from the desert heat. Dates, figs and pomegranates, these sweet treats, offered a burst of natural sugar and were enjoyed fresh or dried. The Nile Valley, with its fertile soil and predictable floods, provided the ancient Egyptians with a rich tapestry of flavours. They embraced the land's offerings, incorporating a variety of vegetables and fruits into their diet, creating a cuisine that was both flavourful and nutritious. Fish, abundant in the Nile, was a staple protein source, particularly for those living near the river. Fish was often dried, salted or smoked, preserving it for leaner times. Fowls such as ducks, geese and pigeons were also a part of their diet. Meat from cattle, sheep and goats was a more luxurious food, reserved for special occasions or the elite. The ancient Egyptians were skilled hunters and fishermen, supplementing their plant-based diet with protein from the Nile and the surrounding land. From the humble fisherman to the wealthy landowner, protein sources varied, reflecting the social hierarchy of the time. Imagine the aroma of roasted meat filling the air during a feast, a symbol of wealth and prosperity. While the common people of Egypt relied on the Nile's bounty for their sustenance, the pharaohs and the elite enjoyed a lavish and diverse diet. For the pharaohs, food was not merely fuel. It was a symbol of their status, power, and divine right to rule. Spices like cumin, coriander, and saffron imported from distant lands infused their dishes with exotic aromas and tastes. Honey, a symbol of wealth and luxury, was used liberally to sweeten their food and drinks. The pharaohs dined on delicacies that were beyond the reach of ordinary Egyptians. Their tables boasted roasted gazelle, wild duck, and even ostrich, hunted in the distant deserts and brought back to the palace as a testament to their power. Wine, a symbol of celebration and abundance, flowed freely at these lavish banquets. Sweets, made with honey, dates and figs, provided a sweet ending to their extravagant meals. The pharaoh's meals were a far cry from the simple fare of their subjects. Their diets were a reflection of their wealth, power and access to resources that were beyond the reach of ordinary Egyptians. The pharaoh, considered a living god, had access to the most exclusive and luxurious foods, a diet designed to reflect his divine status. His meals were prepared by a dedicated team of cooks who adhered to strict rituals and guidelines to ensure their purity and quality. While the pharaohs and the elite indulged in lavish feasts, the lives of ordinary Egyptians revolved around a more modest but no less flavourful culinary tradition. Imagine bustling marketplaces, filled with the sights, sounds and smells of daily life, where farmers brought their produce, fishermen their catch, and bakers their freshly baked bread. The common people, while not privy to the exotic ingredients that graced the pharaoh's tables, possessed a deep understanding of how to transform simple, locally sourced ingredients into satisfying and flavourful meals. They understood the art of preserving food, drying fish and meats in the scorching desert sun, pickling vegetables in vinegar and salt, ensuring that nothing went to waste. Their meals were a celebration of the Nile's bounty, a testament to their resilience and their ability to adapt to the challenges of their environment. The ancient Egyptians, masters of agriculture, cultivated a dazzling array of fruits that thrived in the fertile Nile Valley. Dates, with their sticky sweetness and chewy texture, were a staple food, a source of natural sugar and energy. Dates were enjoyed fresh, dried, used to sweeten cakes and breads, or even fermented into a mildly alcoholic beverage. Figs, plump and bursting with juicy sweetness, were another beloved fruit. Figs were eaten fresh, dried into chewy treats, or used to make jams and preserves. Pomegranates, with their jewel-toned seeds and tart, refreshing flavour, were highly prized. Pomegranates were enjoyed fresh, their juice used to make refreshing drinks, or their seeds sprinkled over salads and desserts for a touch of colour and tang. Grapes, cultivated in vineyards that stretched along the Nile Delta, were a symbol of abundance and celebration. Grapes were enjoyed fresh, dried into raisins, or most famously fermented into wine, a beverage enjoyed by both the living and the dead. Watermelons, with their juicy, refreshing flesh, provided a welcome respite from the desert heat. Watermelons were enjoyed fresh, their juice quenching thirst and providing much-needed hydration under the scorching sun. These fruits, gifts of the fertile Nile Valley, were more than just food to the ancient Egyptians. They were symbols of life, abundance, and the generosity of the gods. They were woven into the fabric of their daily lives, their flavors enjoyed by pharaohs and peasants alike. Fishermen skilled in the art of netting and trapping would cast their nets into the Nile's waters, hauling in a variety of fish from small perch to large Nile perch, their silver scales glinting in the sun. Fish, a valuable source of protein, was prepared in a variety of ways. It was grilled over open fires, baked in clay ovens, dried in the sun, or salted and preserved for leaner times. While fish was a staple for many, meat was a more luxurious food, reserved for special occasions or for those who could afford it. Cattle, sheep and goats, domesticated animals that grazed on the fertile land along the Nile, provided a source of meat, milk and hides. Hunting, while not as prevalent as fishing or animal husbandry, also played a role in providing meat for the Egyptian table. Honey, often referred to as liquid gold by the ancient Egyptians, was far more than just a sweetener. It was a symbol of purity, a gift from the gods and a prized ingredient in their culinary repertoire. Honey was used to sweeten cakes, pastries and desserts, adding a touch of luxury to their otherwise simple fare. But honey's role in ancient Egyptian cuisine extended far beyond sweetening. It was used as a glaze for roasted meats, its sweetness caramelizing over the fire, creating a rich, flavorful crust. Honey was also used as a preservative, its antibacterial properties extending the shelf life of fruits, vegetables, and even meats. The ancient Egyptians, renowned for their trade networks that spanned the ancient world, had access to a treasure trove of spices, each one adding its unique flavor and aroma to their cuisine. Imagine caravans laden with exotic spices arriving from distant lands, their arrival a cause for celebration in the bustling marketplaces of ancient Egypt. Cumin, with its warm, earthy flavor, was a staple spice used generously in stews, soups and roasted meats. Imagine the comforting aroma of cumin seeds toasted in a clay pot, their essential oils released, filling the air with their warm, inviting scent. Coriander, with its citrusy, slightly sweet flavor, was another favorite, used to add a refreshing note to dishes. Imagine the delicate green leaves of the coriander plant, chopped finely and sprinkled over salads, stews and even desserts. Their fresh, vibrant flavour a welcome contrast to the richness of many Egyptian dishes. Fennel, with its licorice-like flavour, was used to add a subtle aniseed note to dishes, particularly those featuring fish or seafood. Imagine the delicate fronds of the fennel bulb, used to infuse broths and stews with their unique flavour, adding a layer of complexity to the overall taste. The ancient Egyptians were remarkably innovative in their culinary practices. They developed techniques for preserving food and brewing beverages. Fermentation was well understood by the ancient Egyptians. They used it to create beer, a staple drink. Bread making involved sourdough starter, giving bread its tangy flavour. They also created sweets using honey, dates, figs and nuts. These innovations left an indelible mark on the world of food and drink. Our journey through the kitchens and fields of ancient Egypt draws to a close, leaving us with a profound appreciation for a civilization that understood the art of sustenance and celebration. We've explored the bounty of the Nile, from its humble grains to its succulent fruits, witnessing how these simple ingredients were transformed into meals that nourished both body and soul. Imagine the echoes of laughter and conversation around a fire as families gathered to share their daily bread, the aroma of spices mingling with the smoke, creating a sensory experience that transcended time. Food wasn't merely fuel for the ancient Egyptians, it was a thread that wove together the fabric of their society, connecting them to the land, their gods and each other. We've delved into the grand feasts of the pharaohs, where exotic delicacies and imported spices were a testament to their power and influence. Yet, even amidst such opulence, the essence of Egyptian cuisine remained rooted in the land's bounty, a reminder that even the most powerful rulers were ultimately dependent on the Nile's generosity. From the humblest farmer to the mighty pharaoh, food played a pivotal role in shaping the lives, beliefs and traditions of this remarkable civilization. Their culinary legacy, much like their towering pyramids, stands as a testament to their ingenuity, resourcefulness and deep-rooted connection to the natural world. As we bid farewell to the sights, smells and tastes of ancient Egypt, let us carry with us a newfound appreciation for the simple yet profound act of sharing a meal. Their story reminds us that food is more than just sustenance. It's a celebration of life, a bridge across cultures and generations, and a powerful reminder of our shared humanity. The echoes of their culinary traditions can still be heard in the cuisines of modern Egypt and beyond, a testament to the enduring legacy of a civilization that understood the true meaning of a life well lived, one shared with loved ones, around a table laden with the fruits of the earth. Their story is a reminder that even as time marches on, the fundamental human need for nourishment and connection remains unchanged. So the next time you break bread with loved ones, take a moment to appreciate the legacy of the ancient Egyptians, whose culinary innovations continue to enrich our lives today. Their story, etched in stone and whispered by the desert winds, reminds us that even the grandest civilizations are built upon the simple foundation of a shared meal. The Nile, a river that flows north, bringing life to a desert. For thousands of years it shaped Egypt, its floods both awe-inspiring and essential. From fertile delta to arid desert, the Nile is a lifeline. The Nile's bounty allowed for the development of one of the world's first civilizations. Ancient Egypt, a land of pharaohs, pyramids, and powerful gods, emerged from the fertile banks of this mighty river. The Nile's waters provided sustenance, its floods brought fertility, and its navigable waters facilitated trade and communication. This allowed for the growth of cities, the development of complex social structures, and the flourishing of art, science, and religion. The ancient Egyptians lived in harmony with the river's rhythm, adapting their lives to its ebb and flow. Their calendar, their agriculture, and even their beliefs were intertwined with the Nile's cycles. It was more than just a river. It was the very foundation of their existence. To the ancient Egyptians, the Nile was not merely a river, it was a divine entity, a god whose benevolence sustained their very existence. They called him Hapi, the god of the annual flood, depicted as a benevolent figure with a large belly and pendulous breasts, symbolizing fertility and abundance. Temples were erected in his honor, and elaborate rituals were performed to appease him and ensure the timely arrival of the annual flood. Offerings of food, flowers, and precious metals were made, and hymns were sung praising his life-giving waters. The pharaoh, considered the divine ruler and intermediary between the gods and the people, played a crucial role in these rituals. His connection to the divine was believed to influence the Nile's favor, ensuring the prosperity of the land and its people. The Nile's annual flood cycle dictated life in ancient Egypt. It marked the start of the agricultural year. Egyptians created a calendar based on its 3 seasons. Akhet, the inundation season, was a time of celebration. The Nile's silt renewed the land's vitality. Pereh, the growing season, followed. Shemu, the harvest season, marked abundance and gratitude. The cultural significance of the Nile is deeply etched into the very fabric of ancient Egyptian civilization. It is evident in their art, their architecture, and their beliefs. Tomb paintings depict scenes of life along the riverbanks, showcasing the abundance it brought. Monumental architecture, such as the pyramids and temples, were often aligned with the Nile's flow, further emphasizing its centrality in their worldview. The orientation of these structures suggests a deep reverence for the river's journey from south to north, mirroring the sun's path across the sky. The Nile's influence extended even to the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that the soul, after death, journeyed westward across the Nile, mirroring the sun's journey into the underworld. This belief is reflected in the layout of tombs and the placement of funerary goods. The ancient Egyptians wove intricate myths to explain the Nile's floods. One such myth tells of Isis and her beloved Osiris. Osiris, murdered by his brother Set, was dismembered. Isis searched tirelessly for his remains. Her tears overflowed the Nile, causing the annual flood. Each year her tears replenished the land, bringing life to Egypt. Another legend tells of Sekhmet, the fierce lion goddess of war and healing, and her role in the Nile's floods. According to the myth, Sekhmet, enraged by the disrespect shown to her father, the sun god Ra, unleashed her fiery wrath upon humanity. Her fury was so intense that she scorched the earth, turning the Nile blood-red. Fearing for the annihilation of humankind, Ra intervened, tricking Sekhmet into drinking a vast quantity of beer mixed with red ochre, resembling blood. Intoxicated, Sekhmet's rage subsided and she transformed into Hathor, the benevolent goddess of love and music. The red-tinged beer, symbolizing the floodwaters, flowed from her, replenishing the Nile and saving humanity from her wrath. The Nile's significance transcended the earthly realm, playing a crucial role in the Egyptian afterlife beliefs. They believed that the Nile flowed through the underworld, the Duat, providing sustenance to the souls residing there. The deceased, embarking on their perilous journey through the underworld, relied on the Nile's waters for sustenance and guidance. Funerary texts, such as the Book of the Dead, contain spells and hymns meant to ensure safe passage across the celestial Nile. The Nile, in this context, represented not only physical sustenance but also spiritual renewal and rebirth. Just as it brought life to the land of Egypt, it also nourished the souls in the afterlife, ensuring their continued existence in the realm beyond death. The lifeblood of ancient Egypt, the Nile's annual flood, was a spectacle as predictable as the rising sun. Every year, like clockwork, the river would swell, engulfing its banks and transforming the arid landscape into a fertile expanse of water. This inundation, far from being feared, was eagerly anticipated. The ancient Egyptians, with their keen sense of observation, had developed a deep understanding of the river's rhythm. They knew that the flood, though appearing destructive, was the source of their prosperity. The floodwaters, originating from the heavy rains in the Ethiopian highlands, would arrive in Egypt around June, reaching their peak in September. As the waters receded, they left behind a rich deposit of silt, a fertile layer of sediment that acted as a natural fertilizer. The ancient Egyptians recognized the source of their bounty, referring to the southern lands as Taseti, meaning the land of the bow. They understood that the floods were a gift from these distant lands. Expeditions were sent south to explore the river's origins, seeking to understand the forces that governed its flow. These journeys, though fraught with peril, provided valuable knowledge about the Nile's tributaries and the annual rainfall patterns that dictated the flood's intensity. The Egyptians developed sophisticated systems to measure the Nile's rise and fall, constructing nilometers, graduated stone structures placed within the river or nearby wells. These structures allowed them to predict the height of the flood and anticipate the year's harvest. The Nile's annual flood cycle, predictable and life-giving, shaped the rhythm of life in ancient Egypt. It dictated the agricultural calendar, the construction projects, and even the religious festivals. During the inundation, when the fields were submerged, farmers would engage in other activities, like repairing their tools, tending to their livestock, or working on construction projects for the pharaoh. The flood season provided a period of relative respite from the demanding work of agriculture. As the floodwaters receded, the land, rejuvenated by the rich silt deposits, was ready for planting. Farmers would sow their crops, anticipating a bountiful harvest in the months to come. The success of their harvest depended on the Nile's generosity, a testament to their symbiotic relationship with the river. The lifeblood of ancient Egypt's agriculture was not just the Nile's water, but the rich, fertile silt it deposited with each annual flood. This black, nutrient-rich sediment, carried from the highlands of Ethiopia, held the key to the civilization's agricultural success. Unlike the alluvial soils of other river valleys, which often required years of cultivation to become fertile, the Nile's silt was immediately productive. As the floodwaters receded, they left behind a layer of this fertile sediment, ready to nourish a variety of crops. The Egyptians recognized the silt's importance, referring to it as kemet, which means black land, a testament to its fertility and their connection to it. This black soil stood in stark contrast to the Deshret, the red land of the surrounding desert, highlighting its life-giving properties. To maximize the benefits of the Nile's annual inundation, the ancient Egyptians developed an ingenious system of basin irrigation. This method involved dividing the land into a series of rectangular basins surrounded by earthen dikes to capture and hold the floodwaters. As the Nile rose, water would be channeled into these basins through a network of canals, carefully controlled to ensure even distribution. The floodwaters, laden with silt, would be allowed to sit in these basins for several weeks, saturating the soil and depositing their fertile load. Once the floodwaters receded, the basins, now filled with moist, fertile soil, were ready for planting. Farmers would sow a variety of crops, including barley, wheat, flax, and vegetables, taking advantage of the naturally irrigated and fertilized land. Egyptians developed perennial irrigation for year-round cultivation. This allowed them to grow crops even during the dry season. The shaduf, a lever system, was commonly used to lift water. Canals and ditches channeled water from the Nile to fields. These ingenious irrigation techniques, coupled with the fertile Nile silt, allowed the ancient Egyptians to cultivate a diverse range of crops, sustaining a large population and contributing to the civilization's prosperity. The staple crops of ancient Egypt were barley and wheat, used to make bread, beer and porridge. Flax, another important crop, was used to produce linen, a valuable textile for clothing and other purposes. Vegetables such as onions, garlic, lentils and lettuce added variety to their diet. The Egyptians also cultivated a variety of fruits, including grapes, figs, dates and pomegranates, which provided essential vitamins and sweetness. These fruits, often depicted in tomb paintings and offerings to the gods, were highly valued and considered symbols of abundance and prosperity. The Nile, once a force of nature, entered a new era in the 20th century, the age of dams. The Aswan High Dam, completed in 1970, altered the river's natural flood cycle. It brought significant changes, including irrigation, hydroelectric power and flood control. However, the dam's construction came at a cost. The silt now trapped no longer replenished farmlands downstream. The end of the natural flood cycle brought about a new set of challenges. The once fertile soils, deprived of the annual silt deposits, became increasingly saline and less productive over time. The absence of the flood's natural flushing action led to the build-up of salts in the soil, impacting crop yields. The construction of the Aswan High Dam, while providing undeniable benefits, also had ecological consequences. The Nile Delta, once a vibrant ecosystem nourished by the annual influx of nutrients, began to erode, deprived of the silt that once replenished its shores. The dam also impacted the populations of certain fish species, like the sardine, which relied on the annual flood cycle for their breeding grounds. The altered flow of the Nile disrupted their migration patterns, leading to a decline in their numbers. The Nile, the river that gave birth to Egyptian civilization, continues to flow, a silent witness to time's passage. Its legacy is etched into the soul of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians' reverence and ingenious methods inspire awe. The Nile's story reminds us of nature's power and our responsibility. The land of Punt was a mysterious and fabled place. It held great importance for the ancient Egyptians. Punt was renowned for its abundant riches and exotic goods. Our primary knowledge of this distant land comes from ancient Egyptian sources. These records describe Punt as a source of valuable materials. Egyptians revered Punt and actively sought trade with its people. The precise nature of Punt itself, beyond its valuable resources, remains somewhat elusive to modern historians. Nevertheless, Egyptians wrote about this special land for many centuries, indicating its enduring significance in their worldview and economy. References to Punt span a remarkably long period in Egyptian history. They appear from the Old Kingdom around 2500 BCE right through to the late period after 700 BCE. This long history demonstrates a sustained and significant relationship between Egypt and Punt. The earliest accounts of Punt are somewhat general. However, later records, particularly from the New Kingdom, become much more detailed and illustrative. This extended period of interaction highlights Punt's consistent importance to the Egyptian state. Punt held a position of immense importance in ancient Egypt's network of trade. This was primarily because Punt supplied a variety of valuable goods that Egypt could not easily produce domestically. Many of these items were essential for important religious rituals. They also served as potent symbols of wealth, status, and royal power. Punt was perceived by the Egyptians as a distant land of plenty, almost legendary in its richness. Its diverse resources were highly coveted by the Egyptian elite, especially the pharaohs and high officials. The rulers of Egypt took considerable pride in their ability to acquire these exotic items from such a remote location. Beyond the acquisition of physical goods, successful trade with Punt brought considerable prestige to Egypt. It served as a clear demonstration of the pharaoh's power, influence, and divine backing. Gold was one of the most precious commodities that Egypt sought from the land of Punt. In ancient Egyptian culture, gold held profound symbolic meaning. It was considered to be the very flesh of the gods. Gold symbolized eternity, indestructibility, and divine power. Punt was recognized as one of the important sources for this highly prized metal. Egyptian goldsmiths were exceptionally skilled artisans. They transformed raw gold into stunning jewelry, intricate death masks for pharaohs, and sacred cult objects for temples. The regular influx of gold from Punt would have significantly supported these elaborate crafts. It also substantially added to the royal treasury, bolstering the economic power of the Egyptian state. The uses of gold in ancient Egypt were widespread and deeply integrated into expressions of power and piety. Royal tombs, such as the famous tomb of Tutankhamun, were lavishly filled with golden artifacts. These items were intended to accompany the deceased pharaoh into the afterlife. Temples dedicated to the gods were often adorned with gold leaf and electrum. Egypt, dominated by desert and the Nile Valley, had few native sources of high-quality timber. Fine woods like ebony were highly prized imports from Punt. Artisans crafted luxurious furniture and intricate inlays from ebony. Ivory, sourced from elephant tusks, was another sought-after material. Talented artisans carved ivory into beautiful designs. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding the land of Punt is its exact geographical location. Despite numerous Egyptian texts and depictions referencing Punt, its precise whereabouts remain unknown to this day. This question has been the subject of intense scholarly debate for well over a century. The ancient Egyptian records provide many valuable clues, such as lists of trade goods and depictions of the Puntites and their environment. However, these records do not include any precise maps or geographical coordinates as we understand them. This uncertainty significantly adds to Punt's mystique and allure. Discovering the definitive location of Punt would represent a major archaeological breakthrough. The ongoing search continues to fascinate historians and archaeologists worldwide. Many scholars currently favour a location for Punt in the Horn of Africa. This broad region includes parts of modern-day Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea, and the eastern highlands of Ethiopia. The types of goods consistently exported from Punt, as listed in Egyptian records, strongly support this theory. Scholars have explored links between Punt and biblical lands like Ophir. Ophir is described in the Bible as a source of immense wealth. King Solomon received gold and precious items from Ophir. The exact location of Ophir remains debated among scholars. This makes any direct link between Punt and Ophir speculative. The ancient Egyptians primarily travelled to the land of Punt by sea. Most expeditions involved carefully planned maritime voyages. Ships would depart from Egyptian ports on the Red Sea coast and sail southwards. This was a challenging and often perilous journey for ancient mariners. They needed robust, seaworthy ships and highly skilled sailors who understood the winds and currents of the Red Sea. The Egyptians developed important Red Sea ports, such as Wadi el-Jarf in the Old Kingdom and later Mersa Gawasis during the Middle Kingdom. These ports served as crucial departure and arrival points for the Punt expeditions. Depending on Punt's precise location and the specific route taken, some overland travel might also have been involved at the final stages of the journey. The logistics and challenges of these expeditions to Punt were considerable. Queen Hatshepsut's expedition to the land of Punt stands as one of the most famous and well-documented trading ventures in ancient history. This remarkable voyage took place around the year 1493 BCE, during the prosperous 18th dynasty of Egypt's New Kingdom. Hatshepsut was one of ancient Egypt's most powerful and successful female pharaohs. The expedition to Punt was a major highlight and significant achievement of her long and influential reign. She ensured that this grand undertaking was commemorated in extraordinary detail. These detailed records have provided invaluable information for historians studying ancient trade, shipbuilding, and international relations. Her motivations for launching such an ambitious expedition were likely a combination of economic, religious, and political factors. The most detailed account of Hatshepsut's Punt expedition is found at her magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri, located on the west bank of the Nile at Thebes. The walls of this temple are adorned with extensive and beautifully carved reliefs, accompanied by hieroglyphic inscriptions. The ancient Egyptians often referred to the land of Punt by a special and evocative name, Tanetja. This ancient Egyptian phrase is generally translated as land of the god or God's land. This particular designation strongly suggests that Punt held a profound and special religious significance for the Egyptians. It was clearly perceived as much more than just a source of material wealth and exotic commodities. Punt was viewed as a sacred, pure, and perhaps even primordial place. This elevated Punt above the status of ordinary foreign lands in the Egyptian worldview. It imbued the distant land with a distinct mystical quality and a sense of divine connection. This name itself reflects the deep reverence they held for Punt. There are several reasons why the Egyptians may have called Punt Tanetja. Punt's influence extended far beyond trade, permeating Egyptian art and religion. It was depicted as a land of abundance and beauty. Wall carvings showcased Punt's rich resources and exotic allure. Art celebrated Punt as a utopian paradise. Religiously, Punt was God's land, a sacred place. Expeditions to Punt were sacred pilgrimages. Queen Hatshepsut's journey exemplified its significance. Her expedition was documented in Deir el-Bahari. The return brought goods and tales of divine favour. Punt's legacy echoes through Egyptian mythology and identity. Despite Punt's prominent role in ancient Egyptian society, its exact location remains one of history's enduring mysteries. Scholars and historians have long debated where this enigmatic land might have been situated. Various theories suggest locations ranging from the Horn of Africa to the Arabian Peninsula. Recent archaeological findings and modern research have provided new insights into this ancient puzzle. Discoveries of ancient Egyptian inscriptions and depictions of Puntite flora and fauna have pointed to regions along the Red Sea coast. Some scholars argue that Punt could be located in present-day Eritrea or Somalia. Analysis of ancient resin samples found in Egyptian tombs supports this theory. These resins match the botanical characteristics of trees native to the Horn of Africa. This has led many to support the theory that Punt was indeed located in this region. Recent underwater archaeological missions have uncovered remnants of ancient shipwrecks along the Red Sea. These findings suggest established maritime routes between Egypt and the Puntite lands. The debate, however, is far from settled. Some historians propose that Punt could have been a network of trade hubs rather than a single location. This theory aligns with the diverse array of products sourced from Punt, including gold, incense, ebony, and exotic animals. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding the true nature of this ancient land. The quest to pinpoint Punt's location is a testament to the enduring fascination and curiosity that this legendary land inspires in modern scholars and historians. The search for Punt is not just about finding a place on the map, it is about connecting the dots of history and piecing together the legacy of a civilization that once thrived on the exchanges between these distant lands. The story of Punt, much like the land itself, continues to captivate and intrigue, reminding us of the rich tapestry of human history waiting to be explored. Ancient Egypt, a land of towering pyramids, enigmatic pharaohs, and a rich tapestry of gods and goddesses. This ancient civilization, with its grand monuments and intricate mythology, has fascinated historians and enthusiasts alike for centuries. It is here, on the fertile banks of the Nile, that our story begins. The river, a lifeline for the people, provided the sustenance needed for agriculture and the flourishing of civilization. Legend tells of a time when the god Seth, consumed by jealousy, murdered his brother Osiris. This act of betrayal set off a chain of events that would forever change the course of Egyptian mythology. Osiris's son Horus sought to avenge his father and reclaim his rightful place as ruler. Horus, the falcon-headed god, was determined to restore balance and justice to the land. In a fierce battle with Seth, Horus lost an eye. This battle was not just a physical confrontation, but a cosmic struggle between order and chaos. From this lost eye, a single tear fell to the earth. This tear, filled with divine power and sorrow, held the essence of Horus's sacrifice and determination. This tear, imbued with the divine essence of Horus, sprouted into the first grapevine. The vine, nurtured by the gods, grew strong and bore fruit that would become a sacred elixir. Thus, wine was born, a gift from the gods to mortals. This divine beverage was believed to carry the blessings and power of the gods themselves. This captivating myth highlights the profound significance of wine in ancient Egyptian culture. It was revered not just for its taste, but for its spiritual and symbolic meanings. It was more than just a beverage. It was a symbol of life, death, and resurrection. Wine played a crucial role in rituals and ceremonies, symbolizing the eternal cycle of life and the afterlife. Wine was intricately woven into the fabric of Egyptian society, playing a pivotal role in their religious ceremonies, economic activities, and daily lives. From the grand feasts of the pharaohs to the humble gatherings of common folk, wine was a cherished part of their existence, a tribute to the enduring legacy of this ancient civilization. The cultivation of vineyards and the production of wine were sophisticated processes reflecting the ingenuity and dedication of the ancient Egyptians. They developed advanced techniques for growing grapes and fermenting wine, ensuring a steady supply of this precious liquid. Wine also played a significant role in the economy of ancient Egypt. It was traded extensively, both within the kingdom and with neighboring regions. This trade not only brought wealth but also facilitated cultural exchanges, spreading the influence of Egyptian wine far and wide. In religious rituals, wine was offered to the gods as a symbol of devotion and reverence. It was believed that the gods themselves partook in these offerings, further sanctifying the bond between the divine and the mortal realms. Festivals and celebrations often featured wine prominently, as it was a symbol of joy and abundance. These gatherings were occasions for the community to come together, share in the bounty of the land, and honor the gods who blessed them with this divine gift. The legacy of wine in ancient Egypt is preserved in their art and artifacts. From intricate depictions on tomb walls to the discovery of ancient wine jars, these remnants offer a glimpse into the cultural and spiritual significance of wine in this remarkable civilization. Today, the echoes of this ancient tradition can still be felt. The vineyards of modern-day Egypt stand as a tribute to the enduring legacy of their ancestors, who first cultivated the divine grapevine and crafted the sacred elixir that would become a symbol of life, death, and rebirth. Archaeological evidence suggests that winemaking in Egypt dates back to 3150 BCE. This ancient practice has been uncovered through the discovery of pottery shards and remnants of wine jars, providing a glimpse into the sophisticated techniques used by the Egyptians. This places it among the earliest known centers of viticulture in the world. The fertile lands along the Nile provided ideal conditions for grape cultivation, making Egypt a prominent player in the early history of winemaking. The ancient Egyptians were skilled vintners, cultivating vineyards along the Nile Delta and producing a variety of wines. These vineyards were meticulously maintained, with workers tending to the vines and ensuring a bountiful harvest each season. The importance of wine is evident in numerous historical texts and tomb paintings. These artworks and writings not only highlight the cultural significance of wine, but also provide detailed accounts of its production and consumption. Wine is frequently mentioned in hieroglyphic inscriptions, often alongside offerings to the gods. These inscriptions reveal that wine was considered a sacred beverage used in religious ceremonies and rituals to honor the deities. Elaborate scenes depict the entire winemaking process, from harvesting grapes to pressing and fermentation. These depictions show the labor-intensive methods employed by the Egyptians, highlighting their dedication to producing high-quality wine. Wine was enjoyed by people from all walks of life, from the pharaoh to the peasant. It was a symbol of social status and celebration, often consumed during feasts and special occasions. It was a staple of the Egyptian diet, consumed daily with meals. Wine accompanied a variety of dishes, enhancing the flavors and making everyday dining a more enjoyable experience. Wine was also an important trade commodity, exported to neighboring lands. The trade of wine helped to establish and strengthen Egypt's connections with other cultures and civilizations, and contributing to Egypt's economic prosperity. The wine trade played a crucial role in the economic development of ancient Egypt, providing wealth and resources that supported the growth of the civilization. The Egyptians also developed advanced methods for storing and preserving wine. Large wine cellars and storage jars were used to keep the wine fresh, ensuring that it could be enjoyed throughout the year. Wine was central to many festivals and celebrations, often used in religious ceremonies to honor the gods. These events were marked by elaborate feasts and communal gatherings where wine flowed freely. The vessels used to store and serve wine were often beautifully decorated, reflecting the importance of wine in Egyptian society. These ornate containers were crafted with great care and skill, showcasing the artistry of the ancient Egyptians. Some wine jars even featured labels and inscriptions indicating the type of wine and its origin. These markings provide valuable insights into the varieties of wine produced and the regions where they were made. The Egyptians were also connoisseurs of wine, with a keen appreciation for its quality and flavour. While wine flowed freely in ancient Egypt, another liquid held equal, if not greater, importance: oil. Just as the Nile nourished their vineyards, it also provided the raw materials for a diverse range of oils, each with unique properties and applications. These oils were not mere cooking ingredients. They were the lifeblood of ancient Egyptian society. They illuminated their homes, adorned their bodies, and played a central role in their religious ceremonies. From the humblest peasant to the mighty pharaoh, life in ancient Egypt was intricately intertwined with the versatile gifts of oil. The production of oil was a meticulous process involving the careful selection and pressing of various plants and seeds. Oils were stored in beautifully crafted jars and amphoras, and they were traded extensively both within Egypt and with neighbouring regions. In daily life, oils were used for cooking, medicinal purposes, and even in beauty rituals, highlighting their multifaceted importance. Temples and religious sites often received offerings of oil, symbolizing purity and devotion, as depicted in numerous hieroglyphs and artworks. During festivals and celebrations, oil lamps would light up the night, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere that brought communities together. Truly, the story of ancient Egypt cannot be told without acknowledging the profound impact of oil on every aspect of their civilization. The ancient Egyptians were masters of extracting oils from a variety of sources. They developed sophisticated techniques to ensure the highest quality of oil. While olives were not native to Egypt, they cultivated other oil-rich plants along the Nile Valley. The fertile soil and abundant water supply made it an ideal location for growing these plants. Flax, sesame, castor beans, and moringa seeds were all prized for their oil content. Each plant had its own unique properties and uses, making them valuable commodities in ancient Egyptian society. These oils had a multitude of uses, reflecting the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the ancient Egyptians. They were stored in specially designed containers to preserve their quality and potency. They served as fuel for lamps, providing light in homes and temples. The soft, steady glow of oil lamps was essential for daily life and religious ceremonies. They were incorporated into cosmetics, perfumes, and ointments, enhancing beauty and promoting hygiene. Oils were mixed with various herbs and flowers to create luxurious and fragrant products. Oils were also indispensable in religious rituals. They were believed to have purifying and protective properties, making them essential for sacred ceremonies. They were used to anoint sacred objects, consecrate temples, and embalm the dead. The process of embalming was intricate and required large quantities of oil to preserve the body for the afterlife. Each type of oil possessed unique properties that dictated its specific uses. These oils were not just commodities, they were integral to the daily lives and spiritual practices of the ancient Egyptians. Castor oil, extracted from castor beans, was highly valued for its medicinal properties. The ancient Egyptians recognized its potent healing abilities and incorporated it into their medical practices. It was used as a laxative, an anti-inflammatory agent, and even as a labor inducer. Castor oil's versatility made it a staple in ancient Egyptian medicine, often prescribed by healers for various ailments. Sesame oil, with its pleasant aroma and long shelf life, was a staple in Egyptian kitchens. It was not only valued for its culinary uses, but also for its nutritional benefits. It was used for cooking, baking, and as a flavor enhancer. The rich, nutty flavor of sesame oil added depth to many traditional dishes, making it a favorite among ancient chefs. Sesame oil was also a key ingredient in perfumes and cosmetics. Its ability to blend well with other ingredients made it ideal for creating luxurious beauty products. Moringa oil, extracted from the seeds of the moringa tree, was prized for its moisturizing and healing properties. The ancient Egyptians used it extensively in their skincare routines. It was used to treat skin conditions, heal wounds, and protect the skin from the harsh desert sun. Moringa oil's protective qualities were essential for maintaining healthy skin in the arid climate. Moringa oil was also used in religious ceremonies, symbolizing purity and renewal. Its sacred status underscored the deep connection between the Egyptians and their natural environment, highlighting the spiritual significance of these ancient oils. The trade of these oils was a significant aspect of the ancient Egyptian economy. Markets were bustling with merchants, trading these precious oils, which were highly sought after both locally and in foreign lands. Oils were transported along the Nile and beyond, reaching distant lands through extensive trade networks. Wine and oil, two seemingly simple liquids, played a profound role in shaping ancient Egyptian culture and society. These liquids were not just for consumption, they were deeply woven into the fabric of daily life and spiritual practices. They were not merely consumables but integral elements of their religious beliefs, economic activities and daily lives. The use of wine and oil extended beyond the mundane, reaching into the sacred and the ceremonial. From the tears of Horus to the fertile banks of the Nile, wine and oil flowed through the veins of ancient Egypt, leaving an indelible mark on their history. Today, as we explore the ruins and artifacts of ancient Egypt, we gain a deeper understanding of how wine and oil were more than just commodities. They were symbols of life, sustenance and divine connection, bridging the past with the present. The story of wine and oil in ancient Egypt is a testament to the civilization's enduring legacy. As the sun sets over the Nile, we are reminded of the timeless nature of these elements and their everlasting impact on history.